everyone, Carl here from Imperial Group Training, and today I wanted to create a video on how you can rid diabetes type 2 once and for all. Did you know that 2 out of 4 children will literally have diabetes type 2 within the next 2 years? That is ridiculous, and for a metabolic disease that is 100% reversible, that is really quite sad, but this is the sad truth and the trend that America is heading towards. And literally, it is so easy to get rid of diabetes type 2 by simply just changing the way that we eat, our eating behaviors and eating patterns. Literally, people say that, diabetes runs in my family, I'm more genetically inclined to get it. And I believe that is not true. I think the reason why people may think that, or the reason why they are more inclined, is just because their eating habits are still the same as their mothers and their fathers. The reality and truth is that the way that we eat is literally the same exact way that our parents eat. And if they have diabetes type 2 and we're eating the same exact way that they're eating, of course we're more inclined to get the disease. But literally, we have the power to stop the trend and to stop the passing on of this disease from one generation to another by literally switching out the way that we eat, our eating behaviors and eating patterns. So in today's video, I wanted to show you how easy it is to get rid of diabetes type 2 once and for all. Okay everyone, so here we go. So I created a little demonstration here so that we can easily understand how easy it is to get rid of this 100% reversible metabolic disease. Alright, so if we look here behind me, I wrote eating healthier and timing meals. Over here on this left hand side is the unhealthy way, or probably the most common eating patterns that we see in today's society. And then on the right side, we have the healthier eating patterns and behaviors that we should try to engage in order to rid of this disease. All right, so the first thing I want to demonstrate is looking on this left side. So in today's modern society, we can honestly see that eating patterns commonly look like this. We have 3 big main meals, meal 1, meal 2, number 3. And within these big main meals, a huge gap of time is in between each main meal. So if you see, I wrote 9 a.m., 2 p.m., 7 p.m., 5 hours spaced in between here. And let's say, for example, a diet that looks like this could be, wake up in the morning, bagel and cream cheese. Lunchtime, burger and fries, and dinner time, pizza or pasta or something like that. Now, if we take a look down here is where I demonstrate blood sugar levels. Literally, diabetes type 2 is basically a disease where blood sugar is uncontrolled. It's not controlled. All right, the reason why it is not controlled is because this happens. So this is the normal range right here in the middle. This is the high range here, and this is the low range over here. When we consume our first big heavy meal, right, it spikes our blood sugar all the way up to this high range. And then basically what happens is your body excretes insulin into the bloodstream in order to control that sugar level and bring it back to homeostasis, or your normal levels. Now, it brings it back to normal levels, but since we have this long time elapsing between the next main meal, our blood sugar drops too low. It's simply because that we have allowed this huge gap of time between our next main meal to the point where now we're almost feeling like we're crashing, feeling like we're sleepy, feeling like we're really craving the foods that we really feel like we shouldn't be craving, but it just happens. The reason why this happens is because our sugar levels are very low at this point. So now we just want to eat everything in the world. So of course our next meal is this gigantic plate of whatever. In this example I wrote burger and fries. Right? So after we consume this high amounts of sugar and carbohydrates, right, it spikes our blood sugar super high again, and then now insulin has to be heavily pumped into the system in order to control that blood sugar. And again, since 5 hours elapsed before the next main meal, we just wait until our blood sugar levels are extremely low before we think about eating again. Now what this does is that it causes us to crave. It causes an irregular appetite, meaning that we're only eating whenever we feel like we're hungry, or we only eat when we only feel like we're starving, right? It's like a starvation diet. It's like eat big, but then go long periods of time without consuming any food. And then eventually over time, this will create the habit of overeating all the time. Every single time you're having a meal, you're just eating so much all the time. And then this will cause you to have chronic fatigue because of the low sugar levels that you're experiencing all the time. And this will eventually cause excessive amounts of fat gain, because this greatly slows down your metabolism because you're not frequently eating, so there's nothing to metabolize. When insulin is heavily pumped into the system all of the time, eventually as you get older with these continued patterns, insulin doesn't pump into your system as strong as it once did before. Now individuals have to take external doses of insulin because their body cannot produce the same amount of insulin with that same pumping power as it once did before, and it's quite sad. It's unbelievable almost, right? So if we look over here on this side, this is the healthier approach, literally the way of how you can rid diabetes type 2 once and for all. Literally, if you were to just take those 3 big main meals and cut them in half, or just have smaller main meals and just have baby snacks in between, let's say eating more frequently throughout the day. Let's say in this example I have eating 5 times a day with smaller spaces of time in between each meal, allowing no longer than 3 hours before eating again. Because after that 3-hour mark is when the crashing, the sleeping, and the craving feelings really begin to set in. So in this example, this is a healthier schedule. It's not literal, it's just an example, but it's a good outline, right? You start your first, small meal in the morning, 9 a.m., having an omelet, veggies, right? You just mix some bell peppers in there and some spinach, some cheese, some mushrooms, whatever. 3 hours later, right? Even though you're not particularly starving yet, but you could eat and it's okay. Let's say, for example, 3 hours later at 12 p.m., you have a little snack. You have a couple of apple slices with almond butter, right? And 3 hours later, you're not the hungriest thing in the world, but it's time to eat again, which is fine. This will literally help control the amount of food that you're eating all the time, because even though you're eating, you're not starving, so you're not overeating. You're just eating until you feel like you're satisfied or content. So the next main meal, let's say for lunch, would be salad with some chicken, right? And then 3 hours later, we'll have string cheese, celery, and hummus. And then 3 hours later after that, we'll have salmon fillet and asparagus. Now, if we take a look over here on how that affected your blood sugar levels, right? Let's start here at meal number 1. Meal number 1, you have normal ranges of blood sugar level, right? And then you have your first main meal. Of course, it's going to be high because it's your first main meal of the day. And then insulin is going to inject into the body to really bring it down to normal levels. But since you don't allow your sugar levels to drop extremely low because you're having a snack 3 hours later, it raises your sugar levels back up before it actually has a chance to get extremely low. Now also too, since you are not quite starving or hungry yet, you don't overeat. So since you don't overeat, your blood sugar levels never really rise up that high. So notice that it's still within the normal range. And then, give it some time, 3 hours, it's starting to drop again, and insulin is pumped lightly just to control a little bit. And then 3 hours later, you have your next main meal. But again, since you're not overeating, it doesn't spike up that high. Light insulin pulls it back down. Eating again brings the sugar levels back up. Light insulin pumps down to bring it back down. Having another meal, right, bringing it up and back down until you are ready for bed. If you take a look, like literally this slight up and down of sugar levels is more controlled. This is what our sugar levels should be looking like every single day. And the pros that come from eating this way is that you'll have more energy. Your sugar levels are controlled. You'll actually burn more calories naturally every single day because there is more food to metabolize, which will create a faster metabolism. Literally, if you didn't even incorporate working out yet, you can literally naturally boost your metabolism by eating more frequently smaller meals throughout the day. And you will feel satisfied throughout the day. That's the key. is that you never want to allow your body to ever feel extremely starving and hungry. You always want to eat until you're satisfied and feel satisfied throughout the day. And that can only happen if you feed your body frequently, about every 3 hours. That is the way to really battle diabetes type 2. If you eat like this all of the time, you will never have blood sugar level problems. Diabetes type 2 will not exist. It's literally this reason why we have the metabolic disease and why people literally are suffering and passing on, is because, you know, our parents are telling us to eat like this, or not telling us, but this is just the way that they've eaten. But literally, our generation, our next generation, the generation that follows that, if we preach this way, we will have a society without diabetes type 2. So there you go, everyone. This is literally how to get rid of diabetes type 2 once and for all. Just by simply eating more frequently throughout the day, eating until you're satisfied, and never allowing more than 3 hours before you eat again can literally stop and reverse that disease once and for all. For all of you that has watched this video, the whole thing, thank you guys for taking the time to hear me out, because this knowledge is valuable. If you know anyone that has diabetes type 2, my family, there are plenty of people that have diabetes type 2, but I want you to share this video with them, because literally this is the answer. Doctors won't tell you this because they're probably eating like this. So I'm just a regular person that just knows a lot about this stuff, and I actually practice what I preach, and I'm really looking to help as many people as I possibly can, especially diabetes type 2, because it's becoming more prevalent in our society. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Have a great day.